Hey BookTube, welcome back to the History Shelf. My name is Peg. Thanks for joining me. It's been over a week since my last video, so I really wanted to hop online this evening and make a video. This video, I'm going to be featuring some used book gems I've found in my many bookish searches. And the interesting theme here is that we have three authors with more than one book here in this stack. So I'm not sure how I organized this, but I kind of went on a little, found one by one author, and I picked up a couple more. So anyway, we've got some used books by the same author that I can regale you with. So yeah, let's just hop right in. We're going to start with Anthony Burgess. I heard really good things about two of these novels. I've seen A Clockwork Orange, but I've never read it. But then I was trying to remember where I read about these two books. It could have been a podcast where these books were mentioned, but let me start with this one. I heard good things about this big novel by Anthony Burgess, Earthly Powers. So I ordered this used, very good. It's in very good condition. I think I ordered it over thrift books, maybe. So let me tell you why I found this novel interesting and that I want to read it. So here, okay. So, of course, this book came out in 1980. It says this book is a major work of literature nearly 10 years in the making, in which Burgess has achieved the masterpiece of a lifetime, a book so rich, so full of astonishing characters and turns that it is impossible for a reader to put down. At its center are two men who represent different kinds of earthly power. Kenneth Marshall Toomey, eminent novelist, world-famous homosexual, a man who has outlived his contemporaries to survive into honored, bitter, luxurious old age as a celebrity of dubious notoriety, and Don Carlo Campanati, man of God, eventually beloved pope, who rises through the Vatican as a subtle negotiator and shrewd manipulator to become the controversial architect of church revolution and a candidate for sainthood. Through the lives of these two men, related to each other not only by family ties but by sympathy, genius, and a deep common understanding of mankind's frailties, Burgess explores the very essence of power. As each of them pursues his career, one to sainthood, one to wealthy exile, their relationship becomes the heart of a novel that includes everyone of fame and distinction in the social, literary, and political life of two continents, joined together by the art of a great craftsman into an explosive tour de force. So, this book is about 607 pages. Earthly Powers. I wanted to check it out because that sounds like a really interesting premise. Next Anthony Burgess book I picked up, also on thrift books, is called Kingdom of the Wicked. I think actually I might have heard about this through another booktuber, now that I'm thinking about it. I've been kind of branching out and watching some other channels I haven't normally watched. And it was on one of those channels that I found several of these books, actually. One or two channels. And I really need to make note of when I find these things so I can share those channels with you. But anyway, I'm just trying to get the sticker off. I managed to get it off without destroying it completely. The Kingdom of the Wicked. All right, let's tell you what this is about. Enter the Kingdom of the Wicked. And this is a quote. You may expect to meet all manner of wickedness in what follows. Pork eating, lechery, adultery, bigamy, sodomy, bestiality, the most ingenious variety of cruelty, assassination, the worship of false gods, and the sin of being uncircumcised. So begins the extraordinary story of Sadok, son of Azur, an aging, pain-racked shipping clerk who is determined that history will remember his clear-eyed version of the foundation and growth of that earthly society extravagantly known as the Kingdom of Heaven. In other words, Christianity. Opening with the resurrection of Jesus, the reader is carried through the mystical, miraculous, violent time that followed as the 12 apostles battled against the crumbling, decadent Roman Empire. As one venal Roman emperor follows another, Tiberius, Caligula, and Nero, and as their depraved, evil women join forces with them, the apostles spread the word of the Messiah through the empire. Romans, Jews, Zealots, and Samaritans clashed with these determined Christians led by Paul and Peter. Yeah, you know why I'm going to, you know why I picked up this book. I definitely want to read this. At hand are the last years of the kingdom of the wicked. The sacred temple is destroyed, Rome burns, lions devour Christians, the Jews take their last suicidal stand at Masada. And while the early books of the New Testament are being recorded by a shy young man named Luke, Vesuvius rumbles ominously. The sinful city of Pompeii is about to be destroyed. Wow. With mesmerizing intensity, Anthony Burgess forces his readers to reconsider this world that we only thought we knew and understood. But the kingdom of the wicked's transcendent quality comes from Burgess's irreverent vision of the individuals who were trapped between the political world of the decadent Caesars and the heavenly promises made by an ignorant carpenter who somehow managed, in a land overrun by hundreds of messiahs, to capture the minds and the spirits of a group who would spread his message throughout history. Fascinating. All right, this should be pretty good. I think I might read this one before Earthly Powers, just because it's definitely more, chronologically it makes more sense. But anyway, so I was really tickled to kind of discover this in my different booktube watching and viewing and getting some recommendations. Let's see, next set of books by one author. Let's do this. I had never heard of this writer. I think I discovered these books when I was shopping on thrift books, and I saw one of these books come up, and then I read it, the synopsis, I read some reviews, and then I was like, this sounds interesting. Then I found another book by this writer, and this writer is David Ball. And I'm not sure which one I need to show first. I guess it doesn't matter. And I picked up a nice used hardcover edition of historical fiction, by the way. Nice 600 or almost about 560 page historical fiction work by David Ball called Empires of Sand, a novel. By Bantam. This came out 1999. And what is this one about? The year is 1870. The proud Republic of France is crumbling under the onslaught of the Prussian army. Paris is under siege. Too young to understand the shifting fortunes of the empire, two boys forge a bond with their breathless adventures in the tunnels beneath the threatened city. Paul de Vries is the cousin and constant companion of Michel de Vries, called Moussa, whose world explorer father shocked Paris with his marriage to a noblewoman of the Sahara. Moussa will inherit the title of Count. Paul is destined to be a soldier like his father, but tragic events will send Moussa fleeing to his mother's homeland with its brooding mountains, its hidden caves and fortresses. And the two boys who have been the closest of friends are fated as men to become the bitterest of enemies, victims of history and the scheming of scoundrels. They meet again on the Sahara's blazing sands. One is part of a foolhardy French expeditionary force, the other with the nomadic Tuareg, a majestic race of veiled warriors who live and die by flashing swords and a harsh desert code of honor. On this unforgettable, ever-shifting landscape, Paul and Moussa are swept into another war, one far more brutal than anything they've experienced. Wow, it's like a big romantic drama here. Paul is obsessed with a quest for personal vengeance and honor, and Moussa, in love with a woman betrothed to an implacable Tuareg warrior, searches for the peace he knew as a child in France. Now they both face a challenge of sheer, harrowing survival, whether to follow the call of their shared blood or the destiny written in the treacherous sands. All right. Okay. Empires of Sand was David Ball's first novel. It says he lives in the Rockies, but this was back 25 years ago, so don't know. I thought it could be a good read, so I picked up Empires of Sand. And then I saw that David Ball had another big, beefy historical novel. And this one is even bigger. This is about 670 pages. And this is Iron Fire, a novel of the Knights of Malta and the Last Battle of the Crusades. This was put out by Delacorte Press. But I got a nice used copy off of Thrift Books. Of course, you got all your, going to be a big, rousing historical fiction novel. It's got your maps and all that good stuff. Iron Fire. Okay, the Mediterranean, the 16th century. Lying squarely in the midst of the vital sea lanes between the Christian West and the Ottoman Empire in the East, and ruled by the ancient order of the Knights of St. John, Malta will become the stage upon which the fate of the world turns. For one of its sons, the hand of violence strikes swiftly when young Niccolo Borg is seized by Barbary slavers and launched on a remarkable journey to the court of the supreme ruler of the Muslim world. Renamed Asha, plotting his escape even as he swears allegiance to the god of his masters and is schooled in the arts of culture and war, the innocent boy will be transformed into one of the Sultan's deadliest commanders. For Nico's beloved sister Maria, his loss fires her hatred for the knights who did nothing to save him and her dreams of escape from her stifling home. As the headstrong girl grows into a fierce beauty, she will capture the attention of one man in particular, Christian de Vries, a surgeon knight torn between duty and desire, caught up in Malta's frantic preparations against the coming Ottoman storm. Around Nico and Maria are men and women who will share their destinies. And then they list a whole list of characters. So, yeah. As the mighty Ottoman fleet bears down on the tiny island, and Nico Borg makes his way back to his homeland at the helm of a warship, Iron Fire moves inexorably to a shattering climax. Of course they do. Anyway, yeah, I just like big, bodacious historical fiction books like this that are nice and thick, come in a hardcover with nice dense type, so you get your money's worth with these stories. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I'm going to try out Anthony Burgess and David Ball, two authors I have not read, so I'm excited about that. And here's another author I have not read before. But I wanted to take a shot, and I picked up some of his books that were used and marked down, and no sweat off my nose to pick them up. This is probably his most well-known book, and I'm sure many of you will recognize his name because he ended up, I don't know if he still is a senator, but I believe he became, well, he did serve as a, I should probably get this guy's CV up here. One moment here. He was a former United States Secretary of the Navy. He did serve as a senator from Virginia. Can you guys guess who I'm talking about now? Is he still? No, I don't think so. No. He was in for 6 years. James Webb, guys, everybody. Sorry for that. I'm leaving you on tenterhooks here. Yeah, but he's a vet. He was a Marine, and he fought in Vietnam. And this is probably his best-known novel. It's Fields of Fire. Classic novel of the Vietnam War by James Webb, and I picked this up in a Blue Jacket Books edition, which is put out by the Naval Institute Press. I got a used edition because the one that they didn't have it anymore on the Naval Institute Press website, but I wanted to get it. I think this one was kind of hard to find, but I've been kind of intrigued and been reading more Vietnam memoirs lately. I've been really just interested in the soldier experience in such a ecologically and topographically challenging country to fight. Traditional warfare. So I've been kind of really been into studying the Vietnam War more, especially through the stories of soldiers. And so this is a novel, but it is written by a vet. So I really expect a lot of these things to kind of be based on fact. Many, based on stories and examples he's seen and heard and what he's experienced. So, what is Fields of Fire? Hailed as the most important novel to emerge from the Vietnam War, Fields of Fire launched a spectacular writing career for James Webb in 1978. A much decorated former Marine who fought and was wounded in Vietnam, Webb tells the story of a platoon of tough young Marines enduring the tropical hell of Southeast Asian jungles while facing an invisible enemy in a war no one understands. It is a powerful work that brilliantly expresses the basic ambiguity of war. The repulsion of war's destruction contrasted with the grisly attraction of war as the ultimate test of survival. Interesting. So I picked up Fields of Fire by James Webb. And then I saw he had a bunch of other novels that I'm really intrigued by. This one looks really good. And I got a nice used hardcover version of Lost Soldiers. I kind of like that picture on the front of the, it's not a junk, but, one of the little boats that the fishermen use on the rivers there, Vietnam. But anyway, sorry, I'm not making much sense today. I should just let you guys know, I have been so tired lately. That's another reason why I haven't made many videos. I've been working hard again. I don't know. I've just been cranking on a bunch of different, evening work and evening reviews, and I just need to get some more of my own time back, but we're working on it. Lost Soldiers. Brandon Condley survived 5 years of combat as a U.S. Marine, only to lose the woman he loved to I can't speak. I'm so sorry, you guys. I don't even know if I'll post this. I'm not speaking clearly, but we're going to try this again. Brandon Condley survived 5 years of combat as a U.S. Marine, only to lose the woman he loved to an enemy assassin. Now he is back in Vietnam, working to recover the remains of unknown American soldiers. On a routine mission, Condley finds a body that doesn't match its dog tags, a body that propels him into a vortex of violence and intrigue where past and present become one. As the mystery of the dead man unravels, a link is revealed to two well-known killers, Salt and Pepper, a pair of treasonous Americans who led a deadly Viet Cong ambush against Condley's own men. Galvanized by a fresh trail to these long-lost deserters, Condley has finally found a purpose. Under the auspices of his government job, he is going to hunt down the traitors. On his own, he is going to kill them. Ooh-wee. So, it sounds like it's going to be good. Oh, so sorry. Lost Soldiers captures the Vietnam of past and present, its beauty and squalor, its politics and people. Propelled by a page-turning mystery. Oh, yes, okay. A page-turning mystery shot through with adventure and intrigue. It irrevocably transforms our view of that haunted land and brings us as complete an understanding as we will ever have of what happened after the war and why. It has interesting maps on the inside of, was this downtown Saigon or something? And not part of it, I guess. Saigon district. Interesting. So, and I love my little murder mysteries. And this one's more like in the kind of a military setting, and I'm kind of into that. So I wanted to pick that up as well. Here's a picture of our esteemed author and former senator, James Webb. Should see what he's up to these days. And then another one by James Webb, guys, that also sounded really like a good read. I went on a little kind of like summer reading buying spree, even though I've got assigned reading, so I can't get this in, but I will at some point. But I got all excited. I'm like, oh, these would be fun things to read on the patio when the sun's setting, and just something light. But I picked up The Emperor's General, another nice used hardcover copy. This one I think was through Thrift Books. 1997, Jay Marsh, Wall Street millionaire and grand old man of the diplomatic corps, takes a sentimental journey to the scene of his first triumphs and agonies, Manila, where as a brash young captain during World War II, he served as aide-de-camp and confidant to General Douglas MacArthur. This is what grabbed me immediately. Marsh sees beyond the glittery capital of today to the horrifying days of 1945. The retreating Japanese army had devastated everything in its wake. The city was set ablaze and 100,000 innocents were slaughtered. Marsh was forced to leave behind his Filipino fiancée and accompany MacArthur to Japan. Now, as the senior statesman stands in the serene garden of the ambassador's residence, his mind reels back in time. In the final days of the war in the Pacific, the Philippines are retaken by the Allies under the command of General MacArthur, paving the way for Japan's surrender. But for MacArthur, victory over Japan is only a stepping stone to greater glory, supreme rule over the conquered country and its 83 million inhabitants, who until then were his blood enemies. MacArthur enlists Captain Marsh to be his emissary to the imperial government, a mission that takes the junior officer into the shadow world of post-war Tokyo. As Marsh undertakes the delicate task of opening a dialogue with the emperor, he becomes ensnared in a web of deceit, witnesses a grave injustice, commits a life-altering act of betrayal, and discovers shocking truths about MacArthur that the world was never meant to know. Oh, this looks so good. Masterfully written and highly evocative, The Emperor's General is the story of MacArthur's bold and calculating transition from wartime general to American Caesar. And that's in quotes. They called him that. And of his enormous ego, his personal demons, and the glaring miscalculations he made in bargaining with the Japanese. It is the story of Japan's dominant ruling class manipulating the American occupiers as they enter an arcane country whose rules and traditions have always baffled Westerners. Of frantic scrambling on both sides to assign accountability for aggression and war crimes that approach those of the Nazis. And in the person of narrator Jay Marsh, it is the all-too-human story of a young man's bitter coming of age and of the conflicting demands of duty, honor, and love. So this book sounds like it has it all. Another great picture of our writer here, James Webb. So, 3 books by James Webb that all in their own way appealed to me. Just the plots themselves. These are stories I want to read, so I did pick up these. Okay, so that ends the multiple books by the same author. Now we're going to have a couple of standalones here. I've been meaning to get this book. I thought I had a version from the Naval Institute Press, but then I found this beautiful volume from this might be a book from 1952, actually. And it's in great... Oh, is this a book? I just discovered it as we're recording. It's a book club edition. I don't know how they made this into a book club edition in the 1950s. But they did. How do I know? Because of this little bastard. That thing right there. Those numbers in that little box means it's a book club edition. Damn it. All right. It still looks great. It's a small little volume, and it is the classic book Submarine! By Commander Edward L. Beach. It's a personal account of war beneath the sea. Now, this was put out by Holt. As you can see, this is like an old logo for Henry Holt and Company. Didn't realize this was a book club edition. But that's okay. But this is supposed to be a classic. And I have another one of his books, and did I buy Run Silent, Run Deep? I think I did. And then he wrote something else that I have a nice version of from Naval Institute Press. So I've got a lot of books not a lot, but several by Edward Beach. But this is the one I've really been wanting. Classic, a military memoir. Memoir, but also it says here that this is the first book about submarines in World War II to be written by a man who fought in them. And this is the true and heroic story of USS Trigger, of those who sailed her against the enemy, and of her life and death in the Pacific. It is the simple, powerful story of Commander Edward L. Beach, U.S. Navy, who joined Trigger before she was commissioned and who remained with her until just before her last patrol 3 years later. Interwoven with the story of Trigger are thrilling tales of other battle-hardened submarines and of the officers and enlisted men who fought them against the Japanese. Tang, Wahoo, Seawolf, Harder, and the rest. Submarine is the intimate story of a deadly business, the lethal raiders of World War II who searched, stalked, and killed the enemy in every corner of the great Pacific Ocean. In this book, you will ride with the two sister subs, yay, each of which nailed a carrier on the same day. You will chase and finally sink Shinano, the gigantic Japanese carrier, the greatest ship then afloat. You will come to know how to fire torpedoes down the throat of pursuing destroyers, because I always need to know that information, especially when I get out there on the highway. You will share in the kill of 5 destroyers in 4 days by the same submarine. You will play the deadliest game of all, submarine against submarine, and you will share with the submariner the deep sense of loss when one of your subs doesn't show up. And for anyone who would quibble, I would say don't comment, because I pronounced submariner the correct way. It is not submariner. You ask anyone in the Navy or the Coast Guard and they will tell you it's submariner. Okay. Let's see. Okay. It is a story of frustration when you risk your neck 1,000 times to reach the enemy, to press home the attack only to see your torpedoes run wild, defective. But it is mostly a story of hard-won success when your torpedoes strike home and the enemy takes his final plunge beneath the sea. This book is a proud and impressive record of courage and of plain blood and guts. Exciting, sometimes bitter, sometimes sentimental, Submarine leaves no doubt. That is what happened. This is the way it was. Now, I love this jacket copy, this book copy, this marketing copy, for the fact that it would never be written like this today. Heaven forfend you were to actually say something like blood and guts. If you ever actually said something like the enemy, takes his plunge beneath the sea. I mean, firing torpedoes down the throat. These are, this kind of copy, it evokes a different time, a time when, being in war, acknowledging that in wartime, your greatest measure of success is how well you do against, you kill more bad guys, or you kill more of the enemy than they kill of us, that type of thing. Anyway, I was just commenting on that because I just noticed that things have been so sensitized and sanitized that I worry sometimes that the gritty side of history is being missed when we're teaching kids. It's not gritty when they want to talk about certain things. That's when we talk about slavery. It's grit all day long. We get really down into the weeds and how awful that was, and all that. But I just find that when we talk about battles and stuff like that, or war, it's almost like we're trying to, oh death, where is thy sting? That type of thing. Anyway, that was just some rambling for me, but. Yeah, this sounds like a fun read, does it not? Submarine. Yeah, I love it. I love military memoirs and written by actual soldiers and sailors. I think it's my cup of tea. Not having a cup of tea today because I need heavy duty caffeine. Oops, someone wants into the room. 1 second. The children were restless. They were wanting into the room. I had to let them in. There's Roxy and Daisy. Well, we have one book left, and it is a door stopper. Again, I found this book through another very small, obscure channel. I don't even think the guy knows about BookTube, but I'll try to find his channel. But anyway, he showed this book, and then I realized it was an Ignatius Press book, and it's no longer in print from Ignatius Press. But it's, again, I had a taste for big, long. I wanted, the time that I was shopping for some used books, I wanted big, long novels. This one is over 1,000 pages. But again, the material spoke to me, the story itself, and plus, it has elements of faith, and anything coming from Ignatius Press will. But yeah, this book is massive. So I had to look for a while, and I didn't find this book right away. I had to forget about it and come back and search again to find it, an old used copy, and it is beat up. But I got a hardcover copy of The Red Horse by Eugenio Corti. As you can see, I've done some taping. Someone else has done some taping. We've got some rips. This thing is huge. Look at this. Yeah, very beat up. I'll probably reinforce that with some tape. But it's, but still, the spine is holding together fairly well. It's a big book. So what is The Red Horse? I will tell you. A literary phenomenon in Italy, The Red Horse, a European bestseller. Let me tell you what year it came out, actually. I should probably tell you that. Well, it came out, the Italian edition came out 1983. Then I had a 10th edition in Italy in 1995. But this... You okay, Goldie? Goldie has a heart condition, so she coughs at times, and I have to make sure she's okay. My girl. This one was printed in 2000 by Ignatius Press in English, obviously, so I should... Who is the translator? What? Well, that sucks. It says translated from the Italian, but they give no props to the translator here? Apparently not. All right, let's get into it. A literary phenomenon, European bestseller, and was voted the best Italian novel of the decade in a public survey. Its success had gone far beyond Italy, as the book has been translated into Spanish, French, Japanese, and 3 other languages. This epic historical novel about World War II and after, written from the author's own personal experiences as an Italian freedom fighter, is a profoundly moving account of the war, those who fought in it on both sides, and the effects the war had on families in the author's hometown in Italy. On a wider scale, it is a faithful witness to the actual events of the war, including the role of historic personages who appear: the Russian campaign, the Nazi barbarism, the communist gulag, the North Italian resistance, and political life in the 2 decades following the war. This world, filled with powerful personalities, drama, and clashing armies, bathes in the light of the truth. What makes this truly historical novel, with its epic scope, a masterpiece, is the underlying spiritual dimensions. That's what I'm going for here. The underlying spiritual dimensions of the protagonist, his family and friends, which illuminates the ongoing tragedy of the war and its aftermath. In the end, it is a story of faith and hope in a world reduced to barbarism and cruelty. So that is one epic story. So yeah, as you can see, there's a a theme here in some of these books I picked up. Historical fiction obviously is the main theme. There's a little bit of memoir going on mixed in with James Webb's fighting in Vietnam, his experiences. Then you have Edward Beach and his experience in the submarines. More spiritually themed novels with Anthony Burgess, Earthly Powers and the Kingdom of the Wicked. And of course, David Ball. We've just got some beefy, meaty historical fiction. And then the beefiest and meatiest of them all is the Eugenio Corti, the Red Horse. What was I thinking? Whoa! Yeah, baby. So, those are some of my most recent used book pickups. I wanted to show you those. I've got more new books coming, more new history on the horizon. Getting a lot more books coming into, as I like to say, across the transom here at the History Shelf. Let me know if you've read any of these books in the comments below. And again, I just do, I love hearing from you guys because, again, a lot of the recommendations I get are from my viewers who tell me about books I haven't heard of before. And those are the things that really excite me. I like finding books I've never heard of before and reading them. But that happens a lot slower than me getting them. Full disclosure. Yes, anyway, guys, thanks for joining me for this used book haul of sorts with multiple books by the same author. Apologize if I'm again a little low energy, but I'm trying to climb back into it. I have been working my fanny off, and I think I really need a couple of nights of really good sleep. So thanks for your patience and waiting for my next video. Yeah, I will be back. I have so many more things I need to do and make for you guys, but for now, I wanted to get these used books in front of you, and I wanted to get your take on them. So let me know in the comments below what you think. And until next, I was so tired I hit the record button before I was done talking. So anyway, thanks for joining me here on on the channel, guys. I'm gonna go head off and go to bed. That's just what I need to do. All right, guys. Until next time. Thanks for joining me here. Bye bye.